tell me about your programs in Chandigarh. What are your introduction?
So we are an outdoor arts performing company called Gratte-Ciel, and we specialize in large-scale performances in the public space. And 3 years ago, we created a new show which was about the observation of the movements of the landscape. And it combines high altitude aerial performance. Artists are perched on 6-meter poles and a live musician.
हाँ, 3 साल पहले इन लोगों ने ये कंपनी बनाई थी, तो जिसमें लैंडस्केप्स में कैसे हाई एल्टीट्यूड में एरियल परफॉर्मेंसेस कर सकते हैं, तो ये उसके बारे में है. तो वही शो आज ये यहाँ पर चंडीगढ़ में लेकर आए.
Recently you did your show in Olympics. You got to know about that.
Yes.
How was the experience and how did you communicate with all the groups?
It was really amazing to be part of the opening ceremony of the Olympics in Paris. What perhaps some of you saw on the TV, which was 18 of our 6-meter poles, is really some of the movements that you will see in the show Roseo tomorrow here in Chandigarh. It was an honor to be invited to take part in this ceremony, and yeah, I think it was a really amazing opportunity for our company to be showcased to the world.
इन लोगों के लिए काफ़ी बड़ी एक अपॉर्चुनिटी थी कि इन लोगों को इनवाइट किया गया पेरिस ओलंपिक गेम्स की ओपनिंग सेरेमनी में पार्टिसिपेट करने के लिए, और इन लोगों का जो एक्सपीरियंस था वो काफ़ी अमेजिंग था. एंड इतने 6 मीटर हाई पोल्स पे जो परफॉर्मेंसेस वहाँ पे इन लोगों ने करी, काफ़ी अमेजिंग था. और सेम वही एक्सपीरियंस ये चंडीगढ़ में लेकर आ रहे हैं.
How many cities you have visited so far in India?
We've just arrived, so we've been here for 24 hours. This is our first time in India. We've never toured in India before. And after Chandigarh, we're going to Jaipur, Ahmedabad, Pune, and Pondicherry. Yeah.
Yes. तो ये इनका फर्स्ट विज़िट है इंडिया में, और सबसे पहले जो परफॉर्मेंस है इंडिया में वो चंडीगढ़ में है, तो चंडीगढ़ से ही हम स्टार्ट करेंगे. इसके बाद ये लोग जयपुर जाएंगे, अहमदाबाद एंड पौंडीचेरी and Pune as well.
And Pune as well.
Pune as well.
How difficult is it to dance on sticks and how to control it, how to balance it?
It's technically quite simple, and the performers are secured and safe on top of the poles. I think the hardest is to climb up and climb down from the poles, but once they're up there, it's quite safe. And for us, it's been about how do we create movement when the legs are both attached and cannot move? What can we create that only uses the top half of the body?
The Chinese are famous for copying things. Are you going to teach these things to Indians as well?
Sorry?
The technique you're going to teach to Indians as well?
We are very different from what is being done in China, I think, and then we are doing workshops here as well as in the
So
other
you're going to
cities.
teach as well?
Yes, we're going to teach, but we're not going to teach on top of the poles.
Okay.
Yeah.
इनके लिए परफॉर्मेंस करना कॉम्प्लिकेटेड नहीं है, बस सबसे ज़्यादा जो कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है वो पोल्स पे ऊपर चढ़ना और नीचे उतरना. अदरवाइज़ एक बार पोल्स पे ऊपर चढ़ गए देन वो सिक्योर्ड है, सेफ है, उसमें ये लोग कर सकते हैं. लेकिन इनके लिए चैलेंज होता है कि बिकॉज दोनों लेग्स जब जुड़ जाती हैं तो दे कैन नॉट मूव देयर लोअर पार्ट ऑफ द बॉडी, तो अपर पार्ट ऑफ द बॉडी से कितनी मूवमेंट्स ये लोग कर सकते हैं, दैट इज़ द चैलेंज. तो काफ़ी टाइम से कर रहे हैं, सो नाउ दे आर यूज्ड टू. And as such they are not going to teach these techniques, स्पेशली पोल पे चढ़ के जो करने वाली हैं. लेकिन हाँ, कल हम लोग की संडे को एक वर्कशॉप है यहाँ पे लोकल कुछ यंगस्टर्स के साथ, तो जिसमें कुछ टेक्निक्स ये सिखाएंगे.
How many people are there in group?
We are 8 on the road, so there are 3 circus performers on the poles, 1 musician, 1 technician, 1 sound engineer, and we are 2 directors of the company who created the show.
Yes.
Your introduction plus your name and how yourself trained yourself for this game.
I didn't quite understand.
First of all,
He's asking for
your introduction, your
and
name.
how you started this.
Yes, my name is Camille Baumier. I am one of the directors of the company and one of the creators of this show. And if you want me to tell you a little bit about this performance, because it has a very unusual story, I think. So, about 4 years ago, we were in the process of creating one of our very big performances because we specialize in shows for 6,000 to 15,000 people normally. And we had just built these 6-meter poles, and it was a new piece of equipment. And then the COVID happened, and the whole country in France went into lockdown. So we had to stop what we were normally doing, working on our big shows. And we decided to spend the time developing some choreography with these new 6-meter poles. We went into the countryside near where we live. We live in the south of France, where there are very open spaces, very natural landscape, and the sea and some hills. And we placed our poles in this open landscape. And we started working in there for very long periods of time, and we realized that, in fact, the poles in the natural environment was like a visual poem, and we decided to create a new show, a separate show, which is the one you will discover tomorrow.
What is your education and why you entered in this course?
So I studied in photography and cinema, and then I went to work in Edinburgh, and in Edinburgh Festival, that's where I discovered theatre and live performance. And quite quickly, I moved into circus performance, and I think from my background in cinema and photography, I'm really interested in the images we can create when we place bodies and performers in a landscape. So both my partner Stefan, who's the co-director of the company, he comes from a climbing background, and he used to work in mountains, but he also used to work in film. So both of us, we are very attached to what we call the wide angle or the camera image that we create when we are making shows.
What will your message for the youngsters to make their career in this field?
What do we?
Message to the youngsters.
So I think this show that we are going to present tomorrow is a very good example, I think, that sometimes you just need to follow an idea, and it's with the simple and small things that you can make work that really resonates and that is very poetic and very sensitive. In Roseo, we work with bamboo poles and plastic sheets that you will see in the show tomorrow. And these are objects that we find everywhere in the world, in the nature or in daily life. They are very cheap things. And by using objects from the daily life to create poetry, we also want to say that we don't need hundreds and millions of dollars with huge productions and huge equipment to make beautiful work.
I was in Pondicherry before.
Where were you?
Pondicherry.
We have an actress just same as you.
Maybe it's me.
Chinese can copy things, we can copy things.
Do you have more questions?
No?
No? Are you coming to see the show tomorrow?
On 5th, yes.
Local
So, but
elections
it's in
or
the evening.
state elections tomorrow?
But in the evening, we have 2 shows, one at 5 o'clock. So if you miss 5 o'clock show, you can always come.
Then I'll be here. Or else I'll be dance or something.
Okay.